Imagine walking through a pitch-black cave 50,000 years ago. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, wood smoke, and the sharp, musk-heavy odor of a hidden predator. You can't see your own hand in front of your face. But suddenly, the darkness around you explodes into sound. It isn't a warning cry, and it isn't a call for help. It's a rhythmic, echoing chant that vibrates right through the soles of your feet. For decades, we've been told that humans invented language to trade tools, plot hunts, and share vital information. But what if that's a total lie? What if the real reason our ancestors started talking had absolutely nothing to do with communication at all, but was actually a desperate, brilliant hack to control the human mind? To understand how this happened, we have to travel back to a world that was profoundly, beautifully silent. 50,000 years ago, the Earth was locked in the grip of the last ice age. Glaciers choked the northern continents, and the landscapes our ancestors walked were brutally unforgiving. Survival was a razor-edge game. Every single day was a masterclass in terror. You were hunted by beasts 3 times your size with fangs like daggers. The nights were endless, freezing, and blindingly dark. In this world, sound was a luxury, and it was dangerous. Making noise meant drawing attention. A loud cough or a snapped twig could mean instant death for your entire tribe. Animals kept quiet unless they absolutely had to scream. And yet, in the middle of this terrifying hush, a strange new sound began to echo across the steppes. It wasn't the guttural grunt of an ape. It was something entirely new. A rhythmic, deliberate modulation of air passing through a uniquely adapted throat. Humans were breaking the sacred silence of nature. But they weren't doing it to say, "Look over there," or "Pass the meat." They were doing something far stranger. Open up any history textbook, and you'll find the same standard story. It tells us that language evolved because our brains grew bigger and we needed a complex code to coordinate big group hunts. It sounds logical, right? We needed to say, "You go left, I'll go right, and we'll trap the mammoth." But when you actually look at how nature works, that theory completely falls apart. Wolves hunt in highly sophisticated packs, taking down massive prey through perfect coordination, and they don't say a single word to each other. Orcas orchestrate complex, multi-stage ambushes in total silence. Chimpanzees launch organized warfare on rival troops using nothing but visual cues and basic instinct. So why do we need words? If survival depended on stealth and quick action, inventing a noisy, complicated system of vowels and consonants seems like a massive evolutionary mistake. Talking is loud, it's slow, and it burns precious calories. If you're running from a cave lion, the last thing you want to do is negotiate a plan. The harsh reality of the ancient world is that information could already be shared perfectly well without speech. Hand gestures, facial expressions, and simple emotional cries were more than enough to keep a tribe alive. Language wasn't born out of a practical need to describe the physical world. It was born out of a desperate psychological need to manage something much more chaotic, the human mind itself. The real clues are hidden inside the shape of our own bodies and the bizarre ways our brains process sound. Anthropologists have long puzzled over why the human vocal tract changed so drastically around 50,000 years ago. Our larynx dropped lower in the throat, an evolutionary shift that actually made us much more likely to choke on our food. Why would nature risk choking us just so we could make prettier sounds? The answer lies in how those sounds affect our neurology. When scientists look at the brain chemistry of modern humans, they notice something fascinating happen when we listen to rhythmic vocalizations. It triggers a massive flood of dopamine and endorphins, the exact same chemicals that reduce pain, lower stress, and induce states of deep euphoria. Anthropological evidence suggests that the earliest forms of language weren't spoken sentences at all. They were incantations. They were repetitive, rhythmic chants used during times of extreme stress, like long, freezing nights or terrifying storms. Think about the sheer, paralyzing panic of an ice age night. The fire is dying, the shadows are moving, and your imagination is populating the dark with monsters. In that moment, fear can literally cause a tribe's collective nervous system to collapse. You can't sleep, you can't think, and your immune system shuts down. By utilizing our newly dropped larynxes to create synchronized, chanting sounds, our ancestors discovered a biological cheat code. They weren't transmitting data, they were altering their own brain chemistry. They were using the human voice as a sonic shield against the terrifying void of the world. Let's look at how this actually played out around an ancient fire. Picture a small band of 20 humans trapped inside a cave during a brutal blizzard. They haven't eaten in 2 days. The wind outside is howling like a dying animal, and the psychological tension inside the cave is reaching a boiling point. Tempers are short. Fear is contagious. If one person panics, the whole group could fracture. Suddenly, An elder doesn't speak a sentence, but starts a low, resonant drone. MMA, MMA, MMA. It has no definition. It has no literal meaning. But it has a perfect, steady beat. Slowly, another person joins in. Then another. Within minutes, the entire cave is vibrating with a synchronized acoustic frequency. What happens to those humans in that moment is pure magic. Their heart rates begin to slow down. Their breathing synchronizes, matching the exact rhythm of the person sitting next to them. The paralyzing fear that was about to tear the group apart dissolves into a profound sense of unity and safety. They didn't use sound to describe the storm outside. They used sound to rewrite how the storm felt inside their own heads. It was the birth of vocal hacking. The voice became a tool, not for pointing at objects in the environment, but for soothing the raging tempest of the human ego. We didn't start talking because we had something to say. We started talking because we desperately needed to calm ourselves down. But here is where the story takes a truly mind-bending turn that connects those ancient cave dwellers directly to you, sitting here right now. Once our ancestors realized that vocal sounds could manipulate their internal feelings, they accidentally unlocked a terrifying superpower. They realized that words could create realities that didn't actually exist in the physical world. Think about it. An animal can only react to what is real, right now, in front of its eyes. A dog can't bark about a cat that might show up next Tuesday. But once humans started using language to manipulate their inner state, we began inventing things that weren't there. We invented myths. We invented spirits, rules, and abstract concepts like tomorrow, yesterday, and honor. This is the secret twist of human evolution. Language didn't evolve to help us navigate the real world. It evolved to help us construct an entirely fake, artificial world inside our minds, a shared matrix of stories that allowed thousands of total strangers to cooperate. And you are still trapped in that matrix today. Think about your modern life. When you feel stressed out, anxious, or overwhelmed, what do? You talk to yourself. You have a nonstop, running commentary inside your own head, telling you stories about who you are, what people think of you, and what might go wrong tomorrow. That internal monologue isn't just a byproduct of your thoughts. It is the direct descendant of that ancient, prehistoric cave chant. You are still using words to manage your neurochemistry, trying to soothe the exact same existential dread that your ancestors felt 50,000 years ago while staring out into the pitch-black Ice Age night. We like to think of ourselves as rational creatures who use language to master the universe, but the truth is far more haunting. We are terrified primates who mastered sound just to survive the agonizing weight of our own consciousness. Every time you speak, you aren't just communicating. You are casting a spell to keep the darkness at bay. If this changed how you see the very words coming out of your mouth, there's one more thing that'll blow your mind about how our ancestors manipulated reality, and it's in the next video.